Caroline Leavitt sat at the View table Thursday morning, the youngest person ever to hold the position of White House press secretary at just 27. She'd been invited to discuss the administration's first 100 days, and for the first 20 minutes, the conversation had been surprisingly civil, policy-focused, substantive, even productive at times. Whoopi had introduced her professionally. She said, "Please welcome White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, here to discuss the administration's agenda and take our questions." "Caroline, thanks for joining us." Caroline nodded, poised despite her youth. She said, "Thank you for having me, Whoopi. I'm always happy to engage with different perspectives and explain our positions directly to the American people." The initial questions were tough, but fair. Sarah Haynes asked about immigration policy. Alyssa Farah Griffin, the conservative co-host, pressed on budget concerns. Even Joy Behar kept her early questions focused on specific legislation rather than personal attacks. Caroline handled each query professionally, citing statistics, explaining rationale, acknowledging disagreements without becoming defensive. She was proving why she'd gotten the job despite her age: sharp, prepared, unflappable. Then Sunny Hostin leaned forward. She'd been taking notes, waiting for her moment. Her expression had that prosecutorial intensity that signaled incoming fire. Sunny said, "Ms. Leavitt, you're very polished, very prepared. But I'm curious, how does someone your age, with such limited experience, end up as the voice of the American government? What exactly qualified you besides loyalty?" The tone shift was subtle but clear. This wasn't about policy anymore. Caroline maintained her composure. She said, "I've worked in communications for 6 years, including on multiple campaigns. I've served in previous administrations. Age doesn't determine capability, results do." Sunny pressed harder. She said, "6 years? I have shoes older than your career. You're literally young enough to be my daughter. Don't you think the American people deserve someone with more gravitas?" A slight tension entered Caroline's shoulders. She said, "I think the American people deserve someone who communicates clearly and honestly. Whether that person is 27 or 77 shouldn't matter if they're effective." Joy jumped in, smelling blood. She said, "But sweetie, you can't possibly have the life experience to understand the complexities you're dealing with. You were in high school during the financial crisis. You're barely older than my intern." The condescension was dripping. Caroline's composure started cracking. She said firmly, "Please don't call me sweetie. I'm here in a professional capacity. And yes, I'm young, but I've dedicated my entire adult life to public service. That should count for something." "Dedicated your life?" Sunny laughed. "Your entire adult life is like 8 years. I've had hangovers that lasted longer than your career." The audience laughed, some uncomfortably, some genuinely amused. Whoopi tried to moderate. She said, "Let's keep this respectful." But Joy wasn't done. She said, "I just think it's concerning that serious positions are being filled by people who look like they should be planning sorority parties, not press conferences." That was the breaking point. Caroline stood up abruptly. She said, "You know what? I've had enough. I came here to discuss policy, and instead I'm being attacked for my age by women who claim to support female empowerment." The audience stirred. Some booed at her reaction. Sunny stood too. She said, "We're not attacking you. We're questioning whether you're qualified. There's a difference." "Is there?" Caroline's voice rose. "Because from where I stand, you're doing exactly what men did to you for decades, dismissing capability based on appearance and age. The only difference is you think it's okay when you do it." More boos from the audience. But Caroline was past caring. She continued, "You want to talk about experience? I've handled hostile press rooms, international crises, and policy rollouts. What's your experience, Sunny? Sitting in this chair, judging people younger than you." Joy interjected, "At least we earned our positions through decades of work." "Earned?" Caroline laughed bitterly. "You earned the right to be hypocrites? To preach feminism while tearing down young women? To demand respect while showing none?" The boos grew louder. Some audience members were standing, shouting at her. Sarah Haynes tried to calm things. She said, "Caroline, maybe we should. Maybe you should all look in the mirror." Caroline shot back. "You claim to support women, but only women who fit your mold. Liberal women. Older women. Women who genuflect to your opinions. She walked around the table, addressing the increasingly hostile audience. You're booing me for defending myself, for refusing to accept condescension, for standing up to women who should be mentoring young professionals, not mocking them. Someone in the audience shouted, "You're not qualified." Caroline spun toward the voice. She said, "Based on what? My age? My political affiliation? Or just the fact that I don't bow down to the liberal establishment?" Whoopi stood up. She said, "Caroline, you need to calm down or leave." "Leave?" Caroline's voice cracked with emotion. "Of course," silenced the young conservative woman. "Can't have someone challenging your narrative, can we?" The boos were deafening now. The entire audience seemed united against her. Joy shouted over the noise, "You can't handle criticism. That proves you're too immature for your position." "Criticism?" Caroline shouted back. "You called me sweetie. You compared me to a sorority girl. That's not criticism. That's ageist garbage from women old enough to know better." The audience erupted. People were standing, booing, some shouting, "Get her out." Caroline's eyes filled with tears, but her voice remained strong. She said, "This is your tolerance? This is your feminism? A young woman succeeds and you tear her down? I'm everything you claim to support, educated, accomplished, breaking barriers. But I'm conservative, so I'm the enemy." Sunny said coldly, "You're not the enemy. You're just in over your head. And you're just threatened." Caroline shot back. "Threatened that someone my age has achieved more than you had at 40. Threatened that we don't need your permission to succeed anymore." Security started moving toward the stage as the audience boos reached a crescendo. Caroline raised her voice over the noise. "Keep booing. It just proves my point. You don't want strong young women. You want obedient ones. You don't want diversity of thought. You want conformity." She moved toward the exit, then turned back one last time. "To every young conservative woman watching, this is what they think of you. This is how they'll treat you. But don't let them stop you. Don't let their boos silence you. We're the future, and they know it. That's why they're so scared." The boos followed her off stage. Some audience members were on their feet, jeering. Joy shouted after her, "Run away. That's what children do." Caroline paused at the door, tears streaming but head high. She said, "No. Children seek approval. Women stand their ground. And sometimes, women walk away from people not worth their time." She left to a tsunami of boos. The show went to immediate commercial. When they returned, the hosts tried to spin it as Caroline being unable to handle tough questions, but the damage was done. The footage exploded online. #MeanGirlsView started trending. While liberals mocked Caroline's emotional exit, conservatives rallied to her defense. Young professional women, regardless of politics, expressed discomfort with the ageist attacks. Caroline posted a video from her car, still emotional but composed. "Just walked off the View after being called sweetie and told I should be planning sorority parties. This is what young conservative women face. But we won't be deterred. We won't be silenced. And we won't apologize for our success." The response split predictably along partisan lines, but something deeper emerged. Young women in various fields shared similar experiences of being dismissed due to age. The conversation shifted from politics to generational respect. At her next press briefing, Caroline addressed it briefly. "The View showed America something important yesterday. Not about me, but about them. About how some women treat other women who dare to succeed differently. I'll take their boos as proof I'm doing something right." The revolution wasn't in the confrontation. It was in a young woman refusing to accept condescension as the price of success. It was in walking away from those who couldn't see past age to ability. It was in showing that sometimes the most mature response to immaturity is simply leaving. Even when they boo. Especially when they boo. Because their boos were just fear, disguised as disapproval. And fear meant she was winning.